How are you, Michelle?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. You have a interesting story, very saddening to hear. You told me some of it earlier. Michelle, where are you from?
I'm from Odessa, Texas. South Odessa, Texas.
Were you born there?
Yes.
Okay, today you're here with me to explain what happened to your son, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so you and your family were born there. I mean, y'all are from South Odessa, correct?
Yes, correct.
Your husband too?
Yes, that's
his
correct.
Community?
Yes.
And if you want to go ahead and just start from the beginning.
Okay. I'm Michelle. I am Alec Michael Del Bosque's mother. Alec was murdered Halloween 2020. It was the night of the rare full blue moon, and he was taken from us.
This right here, did it make headlines?
Yes, it did.
So can you just start from the beginning as to what happened? Because it's a pretty intricate case as far as there's like a lot of tangents involved. What ended up leading up to his murder?
Alec had been shot at multiple times prior to his murder, and we're talking multiple, more than two. We did reach out to the Odessa Police Department, the Ector County Sheriff's Office. Every time an incident occurred, we did file police reports to no avail. No one was arrested. On the night of Halloween, Alec left home to go to a Halloween party with some friends and never made it off his car, didn't even get to park when he was ambushed and his car was rippled in bullets.
Okay. You said something with the dog. What happened with the dog?
Alec has a dog. We have been blessed to raise him since Alec's passing. He is like a son, my grandson, that my son left me. His dog was basically dog-napped. It was a very expensive dog. He was taken from Alec, and then later Alec was told if Alec would like to pay for the address of where the dog is, or does he want the dog at home. It was $500 for the address or $800 for the dog on our doorstep.
Who told him this?
Some kid by the name of Shy Arnold.
Was it his friend?
Something like that, yes, sir.
So the kid is basically kidnapping the dog?
Yes, sir.
To sell back to the owner, which is your son?
Yes, sir. And the dog was sold to another person. The other person is incarcerated, has nothing to do with Alec. His name is Idel Nieto. I don't know his real name. That name does not pop up as a real person. I don't know if that's a middle name, but he has inboxed me from prison. I did tell him, why did you take our dog? And you named him Kilo. He told me, leave me alone, leave me alone. I don't know what you're talking about, but it was a fight with him. I have him on audio as well, threatening my son.
Okay, so they kidnapped the dog. You never got the dog back?
Yes,
or did you get him back?
Yes, we did get the dog back.
Did you pay for it to get it back?
No, sir. We did not. We did contact the sheriff's office to ask them if they would assist us in getting the dog back, and they did not. But we did get the dog back.
How's the police been with all this whole situation?
I don't even know how to put this besides saying that they don't like us as a family.
Why do you say that?
Because every time we try to talk to them, they don't want to speak to us, not even my mother. My mother has gone to them as well and asked them, talk to me. You don't want to talk to her. You don't want to talk to her husband. Talk to me. I'm the grandma. And they have told her, you're nobody. A grandma is nothing. He was 18 years old. We don't have to tell you anything.
Okay, so start on the day that, because you said that there was a lot of shootings, right? Before this happened, you kept telling the police about this.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about your son. How was he? What kind of kid was he?
He was an amazing kid. He had a very high GPA. He played football, very athletic. He played baseball. He could weld. He could lay tile. He could run a forklift. He was very creative and very awesome academic-wise and athletic-wise.
And your husband, right? He's a hard worker.
Yes, sir. Yes, he's a welder, and he's a very, very hard worker. We have had our own business for 20-plus years.
And not to get off too much in the weeds, but do you think that kind of had a little bit to do with, I guess, some kind of jealousy in the neighborhood?
Yes, I do. It came from everybody in our neighborhood. You know, People are very small-minded. They think because you live in a certain small side of town or a side of town that is judged very harshly that you cannot come up and do better and be better. And that's far from the truth. You know, we're all responsible for ourselves and we all have the same opportunities. And my husband took an opportunity and ran with it. He was blessed with a talent that was given to him by his father, his brother, his brothers, and they're all welders. And it's a beautiful, wonderful talent, you know, if you can take advantage of it and run with it.
And that kind of leads into the story a little bit as far as who was breaking into your house later. We'll get to that.
Yes.
But I don't want to touch on that because I respect your husband and I'm kind of in a similar, I'm in a parallel path, you know, okay. Because, you know, no victimhood, none of that. You know, you get it how you live, you make your money the right way.
Yes.
No matter what side of town you come from. And I'm from the south side of Midland myself. But I digress. So continue with your story. What happens leading up to this with your son? The dog gets taken away. Mm-hmm. Your husband's mad. Y'all are mad. I mean, that's a given. What happens after that? Go ahead.
Immediately when we get the dog back, our house is broken into, and we're talking, it is trashed. It took me about 3 months to clean up my home and how bad they trashed my home. Over $100,000 worth of damage to the insurance. We kept giving it to the sheriffs. The insurance companies kept calling them, whether it was auto insurance, home insurance, and I hate to say this, but they all called me back and said that the police would not work with them or return any phone calls. So everything was granted as far as our break-ins and the shootings. They fixed the vehicles in the home because they wouldn't even speak to them on the phone about what was going on.
Why do you think that the police didn't want to interact or help at all?
I honestly, I can't answer that question. I want to know the same answers. I want to know why. You chose this field. You wanted to serve and protect. A lot of the officers, have tattooed on their arms, "We the people." Where are we the people? We are the people. You have to serve and protect us. Granted, I was upset every time they showed up. Mind you, bullets were flying across my son's head. People were coming into our homes, shooting our homes with holes everywhere. Who wouldn't be irate? Who wouldn't be loud? Like I was loud. I was screaming. I was yelling. There's audio and video of me going to the police every time and looking into their camera and saying, "My name is Michelle Marie Martinez Del Bosque. I'm the mother of Alec Michael Del Bosque. They're going to murder him. Whoever's on the other side of this camera, please listen and help us." And nothing. And all of the videos that I requested from the police department, dash cam, body cam, those were the ones I didn't get back of me begging for help. And I want to know why. I begged for help. They told me that they heard my son was doing the shooting. Well, why were there holes in my house? And why were there no reports against my child? I was the one filing the reports. My child was filing the reports. My husband was filing the reports. And then when my son is murdered, I go and I tell them, all the things I told y'all that was going to happen, happened. I need you to arrest these kids. They said, "The victim is dead." No, he's not. I'm the victim. I filed the police report. My husband's the victim. He filed the police report. He wasn't even old enough to file police reports. He was a minor when they started.
So they tried to say the victim. What do you mean the victim was dead?
My son is dead, so they cannot go after nobody. So for all the break-ins, they're not charging nobody because he's dead. For all the attempted murders, they're not charging nobody because he's dead. Does that make sense?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. It doesn't at all. And I was told that by the OPD and the sheriff's department. The victim is deceased. But at the end of the day, let's be 100% honest. I signed them victim reports. I'm the victim. Where is my assistance in this community to help me, my daughter, and my husband fight for us because my son is deceased now?
Michelle, I'm sorry for kind of cutting to the chase, for lack of better words, but all this stuff's happening, right? Mm-hmm. They steal the dog. There's a bunch of bullets flying. What mother wouldn't be crying out to the law to help their family? Let's be honest. Some parents don't give a damn about their kids. Let's be honest. They could care less, but you did care.
Yes.
What drove you to care so much for your son?
I love my children. And to me, we're not animals. You go to the police. That's what they're there for. It is our human right to be able to go and ask for assistance, to ask for help. We are not, I don't even know what word. We're not street people. Yeah. I'm not going to handle it in the streets. That is not how things work. I wanted to teach my son, when things get tough, when things get bad, you go to the authorities. They're who's going to help you. And it backfired on me. And it hurts. It's very hurtful because who I thought was going to come help and protect us, they didn't.
What do you mean by it backfired on you?
I felt like every time I called the cops, them kids would call my son and tell my son, your mom's at the police station. Your mom called the cops, you snitch. How did they know? How did they know? Who was working at the sheriff's department letting out this information to these children, to these kids in the streets, to where they were coming after my son, calling him a snitch? I'm his mother. We were his parents trying to protect our child. Like, I don't care how you see it. You know, you want to make sure your child's going to be alive to see their 18th birthday. And my son almost didn't make it to his 18th birthday because they fired shots at him the night after his birthday. So it got pretty tough.
Sorry, have any napkins?
No, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. We just wanted to do the right thing. I was not raised on violence and to hurt people. Like I said, we're not animals. We don't belong in cages. You know, we wanted him to do the right thing. You call the cops when people rob you. You call the cops when people shoot at you. Where this is not the Wild Wild West. We don't all pull out guns and hurt each other. That's what we were trying to show him.
A better way.
Yes.
Okay, so they break in your house. They cause a bunch of damage.
Yes.
How many times was your son shot out? How many incidents can you recall that a lot of this was happening?
I want to say our car was shot maybe 4 times and our home was broken into the same amount of times.
And you believe it was by the same people?
The same people, yes. We had people show up at our house right after they had broke in, laughing and saying, you know, you need to talk to Kamari Allen. He's the one sending the hits on you. They told my son there was a $3,200 hit on his life, a bounty. My son took it like a joke. Ain't nobody going to kill nobody for $3,000. And I said, you'd be surprised. These are kids we're talking about that have nothing. And he was dead right after.
What do you think that is about Odessa? Is it pretty dangerous over there right now, or what's going on over there?
Kids got a lot to prove. We're talking kids that don't got parents, that are raised with aunts, grandmas, don't have nothing. And the way they get things are kicking in people's doors and selling things. And they were very boastful about it. They went to social media as soon as Alec was murdered and bragged about it. Like, we'll wait till we catch up with all of y'all and put y'all in a body bag. We're going to put y'all in one after, another. We sent it to the police and they said, these are just boys that like to brag about stuff they don't do. I'm sorry, if I tell you I murdered somebody, you would put me in jail. You wouldn't take it as a joke. And they didn't arrest these kids.
Okay, so can you lead us up to the timeline to where they finally kill your son?
That would be Halloween. A few days prior to him being murdered, they shot up the car. We called the sheriffs, the OPD, and told them they keep shooting out the front passenger tire. They want him dead. You don't shoot out people's tires. You only shoot them out to stop them in their tracks, to get to them, right? I mean, that's the only why you shoot out tires. They told me, okay, we're going to look into this. I told them, I don't care what happens. I don't care who ends up in jail. Even if you arrest my son, this has to stop. Somebody's going to die. He was dead 3 days later. Nobody did anything. Nobody went and looked into anything. And these kids shot him and killed him.
Can you explain that night what happened?
As far as I know, he went to the party to go hang out. Didn't even make it off the car. The kids got kicked out of the party. Allegedly, they had weapons on them. And this is hearsay because I was told the story. As they were walking out, they see Alec in his vehicle. They approach the vehicle, and they fire rounds at the vehicle. Allegedly, Alec yelled, "It's so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so." He tells his friend, get down, go to the back." He throws himself to the back, and all of the bullets come in. I know how my son was. I sat in the car for hours telling my husband to tell me to stop when the bullets hit me where they hit my son. So I know that my son held the steering wheel and tried to cover himself because of how the bullets hit him. He was hit from here all the way down in his vehicle, not outside, in his vehicle.
How many times was he hit?
I've said this before. The coroners can correct me if I'm wrong, but I saw 6 to 7 holes in his body. I changed him at the funeral home. I told them that I seen him come into this world, and I'm going to see him leave this world, and I want to see what they did to my child. And I saw all the holes. And the lead investigator told me that Alec was shot one time.
Why do you think there was a big difference?
I'm not sure why they lie to people or why they tell people whatever they want to tell them. But I dressed him for his last outfit and counted a bunch of holes in his body.
How many guns did they say hit him? Just one then?
I was told, well, the lead investigator said one handgun. I had hired a private investigator. He told me a 9mm, a 7-aught 223, and either 140 and 245s or 240s and 145 were involved.
4 weapons from children, basically,
yes.
Young men.
That were all on probation at the time, felony probation at that.
And you're very adamant as to you know who these people are. Is that correct?
Yes.
Why do you think you know who they are?
The night Alec was murdered, several people showed up to the scene screaming people's names, and they were all the same names. And these people took to social media and bragged about many things that had happened to my son. If you weren't there and the police said you weren't there, then how do you know so much? If you weren't there, why did you leave your shoe at the scene? If you weren't there, why was your cell phone where my son's body was laying? The police gave me a cell phone back and said it was my son's cell phone and it belonged to a female.
Did anybody get arrested?
No. 18 days later, John Anthony Sanchez, which went by Two-Tone Paco, street name, Crip, he was arrested for my son's murder. Someone took a polygraph, put him at the scene. But I kind of think that there was too many people involved where you cannot charge one person with the crime, because I've called the, what is it called? The, where they take when you die, where they take you.
The morgue?
The morgue. I've called them several times, and they tell me that they can't give me my son's autopsy until everyone's charged for his murder. So what does that tell you?
So is somebody charged currently for his murder?
No.
What happened to Two-Tone?
He was released from prison or jail May, I believe, 12th of 2021 due to insufficient evidence.
And where's he at now?
He is currently serving a life sentence in prison for being a felon with a handgun.
Separate case?
Separate case. Nothing to do with my son. But his family believes he was charged life for my son. You know, like they gave him a harsh sentence because nowadays, like when you're on probation, they make you sign a letter, paper stating if you mess up while you're on this probationary period, you can end up with a life sentence. And I believe that's what he did. He signed paperwork, and then it kind of backfired on him. He didn't take it serious.
Well, either way, he wasn't charged for your son.
No.
Nobody was.
Nobody was.
Who the people in your neighborhood you said y'all were getting into it with?
Across the street neighbors.
Were they involved in your son's death?
I believe so. I can't prove it, but I know their involvement from the beginning to the end.
And you kept telling the police?
Yes. And my husband kept getting arrested. Every time we got shot at, my husband got arrested. Every time our house got broken into, he got arrested for having a firearm in his possession on his property. Tell me, how does that work?
What was the charge?
Unlawful carry of a weapon on your own property.
Did he beat him?
He beat one case, and the other case they wouldn't drop or dismiss. And mind you, we have no criminal records at all until my son was being shot at over and over. And when my son was murdered, April of 2021, I was arrested for the first time in my life.
For what?
Tampering with evidence in my son's murder case.
What did you do? I
didn't do anything. As far as I know, the police stated that someone told them, or the boy that was with my son in the vehicle, that I had taken weapons out of his vehicle. But honestly, to me, if that's accurate, why isn't he in jail? Why isn't he charged if he admitted to doing a crime? Why wasn't he arrested? Why were the charges dropped on all three of us for insufficient evidence? Well, all four, basically. The murderer, me, my husband, and the victim in the car with my son as well.
They arrested all of y'all?
All of us. Mm-hmm. But not one kid who really fired a gun at my son or my homes was arrested at all.
So they got you for messing with the evidence?
That's what they said.
Did you mess with any evidence at all?
No. The only thing we did was pick up stuff afterwards at the crime scene, which was a shoe we found. Mind you, if you go back to every time I called the police, we had to call them twice because they left evidence outside. So when there was drive-by shootings, they said there was no bullets. We had to call back and say, the bullets are all in the street, come back for them. So that's happened, I want to say, every single time we called the police. We had to call them back to pick up evidence.
Before all this happened, what was your thought about law enforcement?
I wanted to be a police officer. I would tell my husband and my son all the time that I wanted to go into forensic science and be a CSI detective. And that changed. Because I have had so many police reports and so many police officers come to my house, and not one of them helped us. Not one. And we're talking a lot of police officers within an 8-month period, 7 to 8 month period. And nobody helped us. They criticized us, they put us down, and they asked us what did we do for a living and what were we doing. And they pushed the drug agenda, that we were drug dealers, and basically tarnished our name all over town.
And I know you and your husband, y'all are Christians,
yes,
good, upstanding citizens in the community, good reputations, and they were pushing the drug dealer card on y'all.
Yes. Never sold drugs in our lives.
Why do you think they did that?
They needed a scapegoat? I don't know. I mean, I did have a teenager, mind you, did dabble in marijuana. You know, you have teenagers. Sometimes they want to try different things and do different things. But other than that, we didn't have no issues or problems. I mean, I'm not saying we're a perfect family and we're perfect. The police can tell you their opinion about myself and my husband is very different. Did we yell and scream and say a lot of curse words? Yeah. Am I a spiritual doormat? No, I'm not. Did I let them trample all over us? No, I didn't. Did I stand my ground and stand firm and stand tall? I did. And I still lost my son. And I am still a grieving mother 4 years later because I don't feel like my son is gone. I feel like he was kidnapped in a weird way because there's no justice. His case is closed and it's cold. When our charges were dropped, how come they didn't come back after the two-tone Paco kid, John Anthony Sanchez? Why weren't his charges brought back? Because we were told that he was released because we were arrested. Well, our charges were dropped. Why wasn't he rearrested? Why didn't anybody come back and file charges again or ask for a different jury or a different trial? Because I had to find out on the news that John Anthony Sanchez was let go due to insufficient evidence. Well, how? When someone did a polygraph, people placed him at the scene, the police were 100% sure that he did it. Why was he let go?
Do you believe he did it?
I don't. I don't know why, but I don't. I believe other kids were involved. I believe some kids pretended to shoot. I believe kids had guns and just ran. Like, you know, when you're with a whole group of kids, everybody wants to act cool, so they pull out guns and some shoot and some don't. I believe that's what happened.
I guess. I've never really heard of these games or, you know, that's not the school I come from.
Yeah, me neither. I never heard of this kind of stuff either. And then the police said these kids weren't gangbangers because some were Crips, some were Bloods, some were Kinfolk, some were, they were different gangs. These kids, Crips and Bloods, are best friends. And in the world I come from, they're not friends. You know what I'm saying? But the police couldn't tie them to a specific gang because there were so many different gangs. And in their head, this don't make sense. These gangs don't click in the real world. But these are just naive, ignorant kids that just want to claim a set and say, don't connect me to no Crip because I'm really bloody over here. And that's one of the boys that, had bragged about shooting my son. So they're confusing everybody, like, I don't hang out with him. I'm a Blood. Well, I don't kick it with him. I'm a Crip. Well, why are you in all these photos together? I got the photos. You could play this game with whoever you want, but you're not going to play it with me. I did my own detective work. I did my own seek and you shall find what happened. Like they say, nobody's better than a only a mother's better than the FBI when it comes to their children. You know what I'm saying? Or a parent in that aspect. Like, I was going to dig and I was going to find out who did this to my kid, who was involved, who put their hand in the bowl with them, you know, stuff like that. And I did. I found out a lot of stuff, and the police couldn't believe, how do you know all this? Because I went and I asked. Like, you should have done. Like, you should have did, you know?
Speaking of that, what are your thoughts now of law enforcement?
I'm very hurt. Very hurt because as a citizen, I can't even call 911 because I'm scared to death. Because they didn't help my child when he was being hurt and when people were trying to kill him. So in the event if something were to ever happen, I don't think that I could even dial those numbers anymore. Because they showed me and proved to me, I don't care how many times you call, we're not coming and we're not going to help you. I was labeled as like a Karen at the OPD, that I called all the time for no reason. They didn't step on my son's foot and I got angry. They were shooting at my house. I was outside and my husband had been arrested during one of the burglaries, and he went to jail, and my son was trapped at an apartment complex, and they had guns, and they were going to shoot him. He was swimming, and I told him, you get home. And he said, I can't. They're going to kill me. And I said, they took your dad to jail. I don't have a car. I don't know what's going on. Everything's just so messy right now. And he said, Mom, if they kill me, just listen to me. And I said, no, Alec, get home. And somehow he was able to jump out of a window and get home. And as he drove home, I was outside pacing back and forth, talking to my husband on the phone. And a black BMW creeped up down my block. And they stopped at the stop sign and they killed the lights. Well, I know what that means. When people turn off the lights at night and they drive slow. And I knew they were going to shoot us. And my daughter was in the bedroom, in the front bedroom with my godkids. And they hopped out with guns and they pointed them to my house to shoot. And I remember my knees locking and I couldn't move. And I screamed the ugliest scream like you could possibly ever hear. And all I heard was, oh shit, where's she at? Where's she at? Well, I live on 5 acres. So they were looking everywhere. Like, they knew I was close, but they didn't know where. And they ran, and my son's friend heard me screaming, and they ran outside. And them kids ran and jumped in their car and drove off. Well, 20 minutes later, I get a phone call from my next-door neighbor in town that they shot up my house in town. So they left my house. I guess they couldn't shoot it because I was outside and scared them. So they went into town, and they shot up my house in town on the south side of Odessa.
Why do you think all this happened? I mean, this is a bunch of turmoil, drama, police don't want to help. Why do you think, what was the cause of all this?
I say it started when we found out who broke in our house from day one. We confronted the situation, and it escalated, and it got way worse. And there was no coming back after that. They told me, and this is in police reports, I can show you, they told me that I was going to push my husband or son in a wheelchair or they were going to be in body bags, and they weren't going to stop till they did. And they didn't stop till my son was dead.
If you could do anything different, what would you have done different?
I don't know. I felt like I did everything I was supposed to right. I called the police every single time. I mean, I don't know what else I could have done besides take my family and leave, and I did, and they broke in my house when we were gone. They stayed in our house for almost a week, you know, partied in it, stole whatever they could, bled on my walls. There was blood on my walls. The police still haven't told me whose blood is on my walls, and we're 4 years later. They left a .45 caliber bullet on the floor next to my first aid kit. They used my first aid kit and bandaged themselves up after they kicked in my window and cut themselves. So I have a window upstairs, and they got on my roof and they kicked in my window and cut themselves on the glass and bled on my walls.
What kind of people are we dealing with in this country?
I don't know. I don't know what they cut their hand. I'm assuming because when they jumped in, I'm assuming their hand swung because the blood's on the back and on my ceiling of my bedroom, and it's still there. I will not take it off.
The police didn't do nothing with that?
No. I've called and asked them what are the results? And they said his case is cold, and they do not have enough investigators to investigate his case.
Okay, that's where I want to wind down to. So you're saying at this point, your son's case, what's the situation with the case?
It's a cold, closed case.
What does that mean?
That means they are not looking for anything or anyone. They're not searching, as far as I know. I mean, they told me straight up, we don't have enough investigators to work on the cases. And to me, I told them, then they need to file a state of emergency with the state of Texas, because at the Attorney General's office, they do have private investigators that are retired, that go into the state of Texas, that do come in and help. And I've requested that, and I just get blown off.
Do you think that there's actual evidence or a case here to find the murderers of your son?
100%. 100%. Starting from the beginning, from March 2020 up until his murder, everything that happened. I want there to be change. I'm not trying to tell people how to do their job, what to do with their job, but when you sign on and you hold your hand up and you swear to God and you sign an oath that you're here to serve and protect, well, that's what we think you're here to do. And I believe that I don't want to make excuses for COVID, because that shouldn't be an excuse, because everybody was still at work, especially the police department. But if someone is calling hysterically nonstop that someone's shooting at their child, wouldn't you want to dig and figure out what's going on? Even if something's wrong or whatever the case may be. If I was doing something so wrong and so bad and we're drug dealers, why are we calling the police for help? Don't you think we'd handle it ourselves in the streets? Why do you want the cops in your house and involved? You don't, and they kept saying, well, we were told your son's bad. We were told that your son's a gangbanger and a drug dealer. Okay, so arrest him, right? I'm just his mother. If you feel like he's doing that and you see all this and I don't, then put him in jail. Why would I say that to you?
Right.
Why would I help you try to arrest these kids or my child? I just never understood.
Let me ask you this. It was 4 years, right, since his passing?
Yes, it'll be 4 this, yes.
As a mother, how does it feel? Does that pain ever subside, go away, numb?
No, it doesn't go away. It feels like he just died yesterday. And I'm waking up every day like, this is a nightmare. Not you, Alec, not you. You were such a blessing to so many people. So many people are hurting right now because you're not here. My son took care of a lot of people. My home was the boys' club in the South Side. And I took all these boys to church, and I rounded them up every weekend. You couldn't come to my house if you didn't go to church. You couldn't be in my home if you didn't go to church, and that was just me. And
it wasn't a gang hideout. It was, you're going to go to church. Amen.
And that's all they know. At my son's funeral, that's all they talked about. Alec would always say, did you pray? But did you pray, though? Or he would say, who did? God did. God did. And he was very big on prayer. If you took a bite of your food before anyone said grace, he was going to hold you accountable for it. He was going to look at all of us and say, but did you pray? Did you ask God? Did you talk to God? And I'm so grateful that as parents, we know that we left an imprint on our son's heart, that he took it out there wherever he went to show other people the love and the grace of God, because you don't see that and find that no more. And if this kid was such a bad kid and such a horrible individual, why do so many people know Christ because of him? When you're out there being a thug and gangbanging, you're not talking about God. God is not the first thing on your mind. He has friends that would say, one day I was feeling really down. I don't got a mother. I don't got a father. I don't got pennies to rub together. And I wanted to go do something bad. I wanted to rob somebody. And I got on my knees and I started praying. And your son said, are you crazy? God's going to punish you for that. You praying to God to go hit a lick? No, that ain't how it works. So they even knew that he corrected them. Like they would tell me all the time, Michelle, you taught that boy so good. You taught him right is right and wrong is wrong. I could be fighting with another friend of ours and he would say, who's wrong and who's right? Okay, well, he's right and he's wrong. Then get out of here with that. Because right is wrong is wrong. Even if you're my best friend, my brother, my sister, if you're wrong, and I'm going to call you out for it. And that was his personality. That was him. And Alec wouldn't hurt a fly. My son brought home every stray animal that you could think of. I had probably 22 dogs when he died. And he wanted a shelter for dogs. And he would bring me people, too, that were strays in the streets and say, Mom, they ain't got a mom, they ain't got a dad, but I know you'll love them. Tell them you'll be their mom, too. I got a lot of boys out there that call me mom, a lot of girls. I lost my son, but I gained so many kids that love me like I'm their mother because I was there for them. And my son was there for them. My husband was there for them. We allowed people into our family, into our home, and took them to church with us and just showed them whatever we knew. My mom took me to church and showed me, and I give all the thanks to Pastor Albert Flores with Victory, A Life of Odessa, Texas, because he's in the street ministry. The night that we got the phone call that Alec was murdered, he was there. He was one of the first people that showed up at the scene with us and stayed and prayed with us from the time we got the call till the time they took my son from there. Wow. And how many pastors go to murder scenes and stand over someone who is murdered and pray and plead the blood of Jesus and God over the family and the child.
Let's get to that now. What is your current mission? I see you on social media. What are you pushing?
I'm not against guns. I don't want it to get twisted. I myself carry. But we have to inform these people about the safety of guns. Once you shoot somebody, there's no coming back for that. This is not GTA. This is not no video game. And if I could, I would love to sue video games because we're showing people you hop out of your car and you shoot them when they make you angry. You walk into a store and you rob them. That's and these games go way back from when we were kids.
They're pretty wicked. I agree.
Yeah, and what are you teaching kids to stay locked up in a room and play games to rob people and shoot people all day? And that's fun for kids these days. And I think that they took these games literal. Where they want to hop out and they think it's cool and they want street cred. When Alec was murdered, lots of people wanted to take the rap for his murder because they wanted that street cred. What kind of monsters are these people when you want recognition for murder? If you wrote on social media that you murdered Alec or you had any, you participated at all, I believe you. If you put on social media, I killed him or we did this to him, I believe you. So when people come back saying, why are you saying I killed your kid when I didn't? Well, didn't you write it on social media? I'm not going to not believe you. I'm going to believe everything you're writing out there, whether it's true or not, because it came from you, right? It came from the horse's mouth that you hurt him. And we're not talking one person. We're not talking two people. When they broke in my house, there was 5 kids. We're talking about organized crime.
And real quick, you think that's going on between Midland and Odessa? There's a lot. Is there a lot of secrets? We like to touch on this in this podcast / these interviews we do. What do you think about the corruption in between Midland and Odessa? Is there any?
Yes, there is a lot. I've gone from the mayor to the DA to people here about police reports. Nobody's helping. Ask people about Alec's case, and they'll tell you stay away from it, and it'll make you wonder why. The lead investigator that was involved in Alec's case was let go days after the guy that was involved in Alec's murder was sentenced to life. He was let go and sent to Midland. Why are we just passing officers around and there's no repercussion for what is done? Somebody has to be held accountable for my son's murder. A lot of people say I'm angry, I'm bitter. I blame everybody. I blame the police, that I'm blaming the mayor, I'm blaming the DA, that they murdered him, they killed him. Well, in a way, I feel like blood is on everybody's hands. We're talking from March of 2020 until November 2020. Why was nothing done? Did nobody come out? Why did nobody stop this? Why didn't anybody arrest anybody? You can't just break in people's houses and steal and take it and it be a free-for-all. I have conversations with investigators, and they said the names of the kids that came in my house. And I asked him, why isn't he in jail? And he said, hold on, Michelle, the DA's office is calling me, and hung up. You just told me who broke in my house. And he has not been arrested at all for nothing that has to do with my house or my son.
And like you said, the insurance and all that's just big money.
Yep. And we got to pay out. You know, when my son was murdered, they had already shot the car 4 times. So the insurance said that car cannot be on the streets anymore. It has to be totaled out. It's a total loss. We're scared that if you get in that car and you drive it, they're going to kill you.
So what's going on with your efforts? You just said that you're not against, guns as far as civilians owning guns. What's your mission at this point?
Right now, my mission is to get justice for Alec. Once Alec gets justice, we can all begin the healing process. But at the moment, I don't believe we can heal until everybody is held accountable for their involvement in or participation of his murder. Because there was involvement, there were participation. It was a very huge organized crime. When you have 20-plus kids that get together to make sure someone's dead, is that not organized crime? That's pretty bad. At the time, we were told Alec's case was one of the biggest cases in Ector County in this area, and that was before he was deceased, before he even was murdered.
Well, Michelle, this is a heartbreaking story. I know you're with it because I see you on social media. I extended the opportunity to come get the interview. You jumped on it,
yes,
and you made it here. And I appreciate your work in the community. Anything that we can do and the viewers can do, we will help you. Final words, what do you want to tell anybody watching right now? What do you want to say?
I want to say justice for Alec, and I am not going to stop. And I'm going to fight and fight till my last breath until justice is served for my child. And I will fight for anybody. Alec has a Justice for Alec page, and we also advocate for those who have been murdered in Ector County that have no justice, that have not received any type of justice at all. They're posted, their pictures are posted on a regular basis just so we can put it out there. A lot of people think it's a scam because so many people's faces are popping up, but it is not a scam. We have lost so many people to our community, Midland as well, Odessa as well. And it's just become like a new fad that people just want to kill people, and it's over absolutely nothing. We have kids that are going to prison for shooting people over a gram of marijuana, or not even, and what's going on? Why do these kids think that it's okay? It's not. We try really hard. Every year we have an annual gun violence rally in June, which is Gun Violence Awareness Month. I also do a proclamation every year for Alec in his memory, which is June 3rd of every year, to raise awareness to the community and to others and let them know that they're not alone. We have a lot of parents who have lost their children to gun violence. I'm not the only one, but right now Alec is one of the most serious crimes that have happened in our community, and nothing has been done. And I just really want what's right is right and wrong is wrong. And everybody knows the hell that my family endured for almost 8 months. And I just really feel he was a child at the end of the day. He was a kid who just turned 18. I always say he wasn't even 18 for 90 days, not even. And he deserves justice. I don't feel like anybody has the right to shoot you while you're in your vehicle. It doesn't matter if you're arguing or you say something. Nobody deserves to die. And I feel bad for these kids. There's so many kids involved. Nobody wins here. Everybody loses. But at the end of the day, right is right and wrong is wrong. And you cannot take another person's life. You cannot play God in this life and not think you're going to get away with it. It doesn't work that way. And yes, we're very sad. We're mourning Alec. I am heartbroken. He was my only son, my eldest son. And life is just not the same without him. And we will fight every day until justice is served for him. And I appreciate you for you allowing us to use your platform to get his story out here. We saw how hard you went for the girl who was murdered by her boyfriend here in Midland. And we so wished we had that type of help in our community, but nobody wants to help anybody. It's kind of like everybody minds their own business and stays out of it. And as a mother, I'm a one-man army. I will stand up and fight and scream my son's name until justice is served.
Well, thank you, Michelle, and sorry for your loss, and much respect to you and your family.
Yes, sir.
God bless you.
I appreciate it.